All right, so the next project in the DCU finally came out, that being Lanterns. This was my most anticipated project of the DCU. Like way back then when they announced the DCU and they said that this show was going to be one of the projects coming out, I was super excited. I love Green Lantern. I love the animated show that came out way back then, I think in 2011. Not a big fan of the movie, I'll admit. The movie kind of sucked. But I also really did enjoy those two animated Green Lantern projects, and I think Green Lantern in general is a really cool concept, and he deserves a lot more love. So I was like stoked for this show. Now I was also a little worried because the last project in the DCU, Supergirl, wasn't great. It wasn't that great. I don't think it was terrible, but it wasn't that good either. So this show had to pick up the pieces because right now a lot of people are kind of doubting the DCU, and this show really needed to be good. Or at least the first episode really needed to show some good impressions. And this is just going to be kind of a first impression review. I'm not going to get too knee deep because we got to see how the show keeps going on. But I will say, for a first impression, it's really good. I would even go so far as to say that it's amazing. Like I really, really liked the first episode. I pleasantly surprised. Like I had a feeling I was gonna like it, but there was always that doubt in the back of my mind, thinking, "Oh, ooh, what if this isn't that good?" But no, I think Lanterns is actually, at least for the first episode, is really, really good. I really enjoyed it. It had a lot of things I loved. I love the detective aspect of it. I think the way this show portrays that is really good. Like I said, I'm a sucker for detective shows. I love true crime dramas. I love true crime shows in general. Even though this isn't true crime, it's a detective show, but still, I think the show did a really good job portraying that, and I'm really intrigued by the little mystery that this show does set up. Which I will say there are two mysteries in the show. There's two murders in the show. There's one in the past, and there's one in the present. I'm not gonna give away too much about it. I have a feeling I know what the murder mystery is gonna be about the past. I kind of have a feeling what I know what will be the murder mystery in the present day. So this show will be tackling two stories, and I'm eager to see how the show, goes about it. I'm eager to see how John and Hal go on uncovering the mystery for the 2016 incident, and I'm eager to see how. I don't want to give away too much about the second murder mystery. All I will say is that I think it's intriguing. So that's my first positive. I think so far the mystery itself is good. I like how they go about investigating stuff. Another positive I can give is that I love Kyle Chandler as Hal Jordan. He was perfect, perfect for this role. He did such a good job as the character, and I think he is 10 times better than Ryan Reynolds. No offense to him. I'm sure he tried the best he could, but Kyle Chandler, he's already my favorite take on Hal Jordan. For now, we got to see how far along it goes, but I think he did a really good job. He's a lot more rebellious than Jon Stewart. You can tell that between the two, that Hal's kind of the hot shot. So I think that's an interesting take, in my opinion. And like I said, he has a way of trying to solve this mystery, and it's not a way that Jon Stewart agrees with, but it does work. And I think I think Kyle is just great in the role. I really, really did like him in this show. I'm eager to see how the relationship between him and John progresses because that's another thing. Him and John don't get along. They really don't. At least from this first episode. You can tell that they respect each other, but they don't like each other that much. And there is a reason for that. In the show, John is technically, not even technically, he is supposed to be the replacement for Hal in case anything happens to him. Because in the show, they said you can only have one Green Lantern in Earth. So there can't be two. Little weird, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like you can have two, but I feel like there is a reason for that. And I feel that's gonna be a part of the mystery for the 2025 mystery or 2026, wherever it takes place. But I really enjoy their dynamic. I think their dynamic is really good, and I'm looking forward to see how their friendship and slash respect develops as the show goes on. Because, like I said, They don't like each other in this first episode, and you can tell, but they do respect each other. John even says in the show that he respects his bravery. So I think the relationship is going to be a bit sour for the first couple episodes, but I think as the show goes on, they they'll have a much better, healthier relationship by the end. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. But yeah, Hal's playing the mentor role, and I'm really liking how he's going about it so far. I think it's interesting in my opinion. Now, as for Aaron Pierre as John Stewart, he's fantastic. He's the complete opposite of Hal. He's a definitely more by the books kind of guy, and I like that because I'm pretty sure he was like that from what I remember in the Justice League show. So that's great. They got his personality down to a T, and I think Aaron Pierre is great in the role. And I'm looking forward to seeing him wear that Green Lantern suit and wear the ring. And I'm looking forward to seeing how he develops more as a person and what he learns from Hal in general, and how what he'll take what he learns from the past. Like I said, there's two stories, and I'm eager to see how he implements all that in his in the future timeline. I don't want to say too much besides that. All I will say, he's great in the role. There is one thing he did that I didn't like is that he kind of divulged too much information to this one character. I don't know, kind of seems a little irresponsible for him to do that, but I'll chalk it up to him being young. You know, he's still new to the job, so he has a lot to learn. And that is another thing. There's a lot of suspects in this show, and it's keeping me on my toes because, like I said, there is a murder in this small town, and I'm already kind of looking at a couple characters in the show, thinking, should we trust that person? Should we trust her? Should we trust him? I think it's good. It keeps me on my toes, trying to figure out who's really behind the murders. Now, I think I do know, at least for the 2016 murders, who's behind it. I don't want to say who, but they do kind of give it away in the trailers. If you've seen the trailers, you kind of have an idea on who's going to be behind the past murders. Now, I don't know who's going to be behind the murder that happens in the future. That is a complete mystery to me, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. Now, I also will say that the show is slow paced, but I like that because, again, it's a detective show. You're supposed to be going around investigating with the characters. I think it works, in my opinion. But for some people might not like that. For me, that's not a big problem because that's just a part of what a detective show is. It's supposed to be slow paced. And I'm sure as the show goes on, it will get more action heavy. Because I will say there's not a lot of action scenes in this movie. In this show. There's not a lot of action scenes. There's a couple here and there, but I understand it's the first episode. It's kind of, this episode is really just supposed to reel you in and get you excited for what comes next. And I think the first episode does a good job of that. The acting all around, like I said, is fantastic. I love the dynamic between John and Hal. Like I said, I think both actors give a great performance. I think the way the show looks tonally is my cup of tea. It's more serious than Supergirl and Superman, and I love that. Like I said, you can definitely see the true detective inspiration behind this show, and I'm loving it. I'm looking forward to seeing more of the mystery and seeing who else shows up. Like, we already kind of have an idea of who else is going to show up. Like, this isn't really a spoiler. Sinestro will eventually show up, and I'm eager to see how he's going to play out in this show. But there are also some other characters that are rumored that are going to be showing up. I'm not going to say who, but I hope they do. That'd be pretty interesting. But yeah, like I said, the initial mystery setup is really good, and the investigation about it is going really good. Like, I like how they go about it, and I'm eager to see more. The only thing I can say is, like I said, there's not a lot of action in the show, at least in this episode. But I have a feeling that as the show goes on, we will see more action. As for the constructs, they look really good. I like them. I think the CGI used for it is good. It looks really good. So, man, um, what else can I think of? I think that's it, really. I don't really have complaints that much other than the way Jon Stewart behaved and, acted towards this one character. I feel like he shouldn't have done that, like giving information away. But that's it. Everything else is really good. Like I said, I'm really liking the vibe. Like I said, this isn't really like a big review. This is just kind of like a first impression of how I feel. And my first impressions are that I think the first one, is really good. And it's really intriguing. Like I said, I love the tone. I love the acting. I like that it's a bit more mature than the other projects. And I'm looking forward to seeing more. Also, Jon Stewart's backstory, perfect. It was really good. It really shows you why he will get picked as a Green Lantern, and I hope we learn more about his backstory as the show goes on. Same with Hal. I hope we learn a little bit more about him as well. But yeah, overall though, first impressions are that I think the first episode was great, and it sets up a really good mystery, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this mystery gets resolved by the end. Both mysteries. All I will say, or another thing I will say, some people might not like the ending of this episode. I'm not going to say what happens, but it's going to be very divisive. This show in general, I think, will be very divisive. But it is a good show, or at least a good first impression. We'll have to wait and see if the rest of the show continues this quality that the first episode has, because I think the first episode is great. Like, I love it. If I had to rate it out of 10, I'd probably give it like a 9. I really enjoy it. But we're going to have to see how the rest of the show plays out. But I'm excited to see it. So overall, though, I really enjoyed the first episode of Lanterns. I'm looking forward to seeing more of it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this mystery unravels and how it will connect to the bigger DCU narrative, because that this show is going to connect to something bigger later on. So, yeah, I recommend it. I think you'll really enjoy this, especially if you were burned out by Supergirl. This show is great, and I think the DCU is back on track. So, strong recommendation for me.